Hello, you lovely, lovely audience, and Omega Shenron's been out for a few days now, so here we go. It's another video. Is he any good? One thing to note straight off the bat is he a flat out 200% for GT bosses? Damn, that is pretty good. Because that is huge, making him probably one of the most sought after units purely because of this. Because there's like those fighting legend events with GT bosses, a lot of people still haven't done it or can't be bothered doing it. And I don't blame you, it can be a bit annoying. Because currently I say currently, previously we have him at a 130 and there's a summonable yellow coin LR at 150. Now, if you have this guy, then sure, it's good. Only problem is he doesn't really work well on the GT bosses, more on androids. So you're rocking these two, right? And these two are solid units, but in terms of that event, while they have their uses, this 200% is good. So we'll have a quick look into him because he does a whole bunch. He opens up the new year with an LR. It's the first LR of the new year. So hey, this is great. This could have come out in November, but of course the weird way it's split is we have so it's the Super Saiyan 4 Goku banner, the int one. This is part 2 along with Easy A Baby. I released that video back in November, early November, and of course it's one of those where it just gets delayed, kind of like Physical Janemba. Okay, so we have GT bosses 200%. So we have an entrance animation, that seems nice. Changes int to rainbow for 7 turns. Not entirely sure why that's that, but sure. All enemies, 25% minus the stats. This is kind of the same across all Shadow Dragons, meaning that an entire GT Bosses Shadow Dragon saga, I mean, just rocking them, you nerf the enemy into the ground, right? It's pretty ridiculous. Key 3, 200% the stats. Now, Key 3 is good, because any unit with the passive means that it's going to be easy to get their super attacks, and they're far more versatile in terms of where you want to go because you just have that key entering. So I mean, you'll have your 6 key from your start, and then you'll have 3 key, meaning that the amount that you need to super attack is already halved. So you have an additional 20% attack with each attack performed. Okay, so you could see additionals put into here. Key +1 and reduce damage received by 5% per GT boss ally on the team. Actually, that is huge because you'll rock him on GT bosses. We'll talk about why that in particular is good amongst some of his other links. So you have an additional damage reduction of 7% per Rainbow Key Sphere, of which he is a Rainbow Key Sphere changer. So it's legitimately possible to have well, he's going to be quite a beast. If HP is 50% or less at your start of your turn, you revive with 70% HP recovered. Wait, HP is if 50% HP or less, you revive with 70% HP recovered when you are KO'd. Right, okay. So he has a revive mechanic if you're under 50%. That's fine. You apply the Super Excellent effect and launch an additional super attack from which your revival skill is activated. Is that like forever? So if you revive, do you just get 2 super attacks? For which super attack effect, you raise defense by 30% for the turn, lowers the enemy attack with a 50% chance to stun. Wow. And of course, his 18 key, 50% raise to defense, lowers attack and defense, and seals. Yeah, so you want additionals, right? So this could be pretty gnarly in his super attack because you not only get the defensive raise, but you seal the opponent's super attack. If you get the additional, then you have a chance to stun as well, which would be pretty monstrous. Yeah. So the reason why this is good. So, for example, the only real reason why you could rock the Fight and Legend event with this guy is purely based on the links, because the links alongside potentially this is going to be obscene, right? Because we have, for example, him, who will be an LR. We're getting Brutal Beatdown, Big Bad Bosses, which is 25% attack and defense, Shadow Dragons, which is 20% attack and defense, and GT, which is 10%. So, I mean, we're getting, 55% defense and attack with some more attack coming in. So, no matter how good these are, they're 55% extra on top of the fact that some of these also do more or build up, really help to compensate, but you had to have them at virtually max links. So now this kind of frees us up a little bit. So with the fact that you can get 55% from your links in terms of defense, when you add that defense with damage reduction, so you had a full team, so it's 5% per ally on the team, so that's 6. Right, so you can have 30% damage reduction, just flat out with 55% extra defense. This, I mean, it's very easy to get 2 to 3, right? He's a rainbow orb changer, so you can get 2 to 3. Let's say you got 3, so he has 30% plus the additional 21%. He has 50% damage reduction, whilst having 55% extra defense, whilst also building up attack, because he has 200%. And then he builds that attack up by an additional 150 for an LR. It's going to be pretty nuts. Okay, so coming in at 55%, his HP is probably one of the highest here, coming in at 24,000. And his attack is a little low, but honestly, that will build up, so it's not so bad. But he has a really strong defense, 13.7, nearly 14,000 defense, which is absolutely bonkers. Honestly, have you seen Rainbow? It's like 200% stats with max links, right? So, dude, he's going to have like 300k starter turn. Anyway, should you be lucky to get one dupe, because one dupe is the most impressive, you go to a rather hefty 15,500 attack with just shy of 16,000 defense, making him quite a formidable force. But even at 55%, his stats are going to be ridiculous. And when he gets defense on his super attack on both of them, so if he went for additionals, and that might just be the case, yeah, you'd absolutely smash them. So in terms of, so he has probably one of the most useful categories, but he also has some of the most useful links, which means he has some of the most useful teams. Now, with GT bosses getting a full lead, and with half of these GT bosses and Shadow Dragons actually easy aid, they're actually fairly respectable. Check out GT bosses now, and we can see, like, yeah, we can touch on these two in a moment. But Super Baby 2, his easy A is coming out now, of which I've done his video, and he is pretty ridiculous because he just hates Saiyans, right? So specifically for that Fighting Legend event, he's going to just crush it. This baby as well is pretty respectable, a fantastic partner, right? So we've had an LR Easy A. This guy is still fairly decent for a free-to-play LR. This guy is a pretty solid unit, right? And is a perfect complementing partner Sin for any Omega. When we're talking Omega, we're talking this free to play, and we're also talking this guy who is absolutely monstrous. You could rock Shadow Dragon Saga, right, for your GT bosses to some degree, but if you have this guy, he might not work alongside because they're the same name, but like this is Shadow Dragons. So, this will work. Sin is fantastic because they share the links. And honestly, he's going to be his best friend, right? Metal Rildo is actually fairly respectable. 17's fairly respectable, right? Where is... him is fairly respectable, and he will work because this is Sin, not Omega. So there's some pretty decent stuff. And even actually, this guy is fairly respectable as well. So, yes, I think all we need now is this guy to have his easy A. And then GT bosses would be quite phenomenal, but it is all depending whether or not you have this lead. So, yeah. So, in terms of what he has, let's have a look. So, we know he has Brutal Beatdown, Big Bad Bosses, GT, and Shadow Dragons, but coming in with Fierce Battle and Legendary Power means that you can very easily get some attack links. Coming in with Shadow Dragon Saga, GT bosses, Inhuman Deeds, and Battle of Fate, full power, powerful comeback, transformation boost. So, Inhuman Deeds could be a good one because you can get some decent, you could make a decent rotation. Battle of Fate, you can make a decent rotation, but honestly, I wouldn't. Full power, again, yeah, some of the Omegas are on here, so you could make a case. But honestly, you're looking at Shadow Dragon GT bosses, Inhuman Deeds, and you can just see just how limited, in essence, it is. The only reason Boo's on here is because he's got stuff like Big Bad Bosses, right? And Fear and Faith or something, and Legendary Power, same as this guy, right? It's kind of the only reason why they have him. But if you have a look, you can begin to see just GT theme, right? You can see GT Bosses, you can see Shadow Dragons, which again, it's not bad because they've made this unit very good in one specific area. Remember, all the Shadow Dragons, they have this, right? And when I say all the Shadow Dragons, all the Sin and Omegas do this to roughly that amount as well. So Shadow Dragons in particular, now you have something like this, so you could rock this guy as a full 170. This guy would still be pretty ridiculous. You can now very easily make an extreme class build to go alongside your super class build. So it's really nice. This guy, by the way, is a full power support. So if you did happen to have a full power rotation, he buffs by, I believe, like 40%. So ridiculous. Now, Shadow Dragon Super Battle Road is gotta be the easiest now outside of like. Now, it's probably gotta be even easier than perhaps the throwaway, which is the Ginyu, right? Dude, it's gotta be. They're so powerful. You could easily no item it. I did it on a video with just a 130%, so you can absolutely do it with a 200. But yeah, so really strong unit, really, really, really well built. It remains to see, like, because like what I like about this is he has this, but never mind that. He has this, which means that with 2 or 3, yeah, you get 20 odd percent. And then, of course, you can use him on the other teams, which means he can sort of hold his own, which is pretty good. It's a unit that has a revive mechanic, and we've not seen them in a little while, actually. So that's something. So, yes. So his active skill, right? So he does have an active skill, which we'll touch on real quick. So, it can be activated when the enemy's attack down or defense down from the 3rd turn, which is fine, or from the 6th turn. So, fighting legend events, you can still get that. By at some point, you can still at least lower their defense. Super Battle Road, Extreme Super Battle Road, absolutely, because you can just about do it on the 3rd rotation, meaning you can still get this. 6 turns, maybe. Obviously, certain events you might be able to, but this is actually fairly doable because most bosses you can still do that. Hell, even Battlefield, you can now do both of those. So Battlefield, Extreme Super Battle Road, Fighting Legend events, certain longer events, difficult events. It's really good. So we have a 50% to attack, causes ultimate damage, lowers attack and defense by 30% for the turn, and disables the enemy action. So lowers attack and defense by 30%. You passively lower it anyway by 25%. So you're looking at a 50. So you've basically just neutered the enemy's attack by 55%, of which you're going to have damage reduction as well. Again, this unit is absolutely bizarre. We have no doubt that this is a pretty monstrous one. Real quick, so they have no free to play units of this guy, which seems pretty bizarre, really. So you're gonna have to use your Kais, right? Unless you happen to have a bunch of these for free, use your Kais. I suppose there's one thing I ought to bring up, and that's the banner. I did say on release for the Int Super Saiyan 4 when that first came out, this banner would be terrible. Honestly, it's not as bad because it's a double carnival, but I'll just quickly bring it up. Right, yeah. So, it's a little better in fact that they've slapped these two LRs on it, right? So, hey, that's kind of fancy. So, yes, you have an increased chance to pull the new unit. Well, to be fair, you have an increased chance to pull basically any of these units. These two are solid, but I mean, just slapping these on, it's clear to see that they just wanted you to summon on this, right? They've made it a rising carnival, so it's double rates. They've slapped 2 fancy LRs, which are kind of rare, in the hopes that you would ignore the fact that I mean, you've got Selza, Sin, and these 2 which have an easy area. Really, we're gonna sum for these guys. This guy's ass. And this guy's ass. I mean, the rest are respectable. But like seriously, you're hunting for this unit, you're probably going to end up with one of these. Which, I mean, like you want this guy more than you want these. So again, this banner is absolute terrible. I mean, it might be worth a couple of punts because, as I say, it is double. It is double the rate. So legitimately, you could walk away with a new unit after a couple of summons. There is possible, but honestly, I wouldn't go more than just a handful of summons at most. Because we have the Super Saiyan 3 and Tapion, and then of course you have to save up for Saiyan Day and save up for the anniversaries. So I mean, you could start saving up for them now. As I say, it's still worth a punt. He's a strong unit. So yeah, that's one thing. So he's really really good, and I like his design, and I like how he's really focused on GT bosses, right? And then by compliment, Shadow Dragon Saga. You could use him on others. We'll see if I can scrounge one up or make a video around the guest or something. But yeah. So he's good. He's good. No worries. So that's going to be it for this video. I like it. You can let me know if you hate him or love him. He might be one of those units. He's strong, no doubt. He's useful, no doubt. But I just feel like not a lot of people are going to have this guy. Funny enough, I say that. Didn't we also just get top grossing? So somebody's summoning for this guy. Although I'm pretty sure that the international version just relies on France or Belgium. Anyway, yeah. So thank you very much. And if you like this video, well, hey, great. Good for you, and I hope you have great in your summons. Passing the luck. And if you didn't like it, well, that sucks to be you, and I hope you have bad summons. But thank you very much. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.